Excuse me, what's your name? Get your camera stuck in there. Well, this is a show where we cavort and run amok. Hello and welcome to On the Hoof. I'm Paddy Haycox and this is Kensington High Street. Now on this show, this is the show where we show you everything we shoot, warts and all. We hang our dirty washing out in public for all to see. We don't like to stand around, so let's get moving. I'm going to give you a clue as to what we're exploring today. Luke, if you can follow me through this crowd, I've picked a time when a train is just thrown out the tube station, which is always the way it goes on this programme. Luke, if you'd like to come around this side of me, I'm going to just find this gentleman over here, because major clue to what we're trying to do today lies with what this gentleman is doing on the high street. Excuse me, sir. Quick look, can I have an Evening Standard? And what edition is that you're flogging at the moment?
Second, isn't it?
Second. How many did you get through in a day?
Well, that's the man to ask, really. That man down there, he would sell a lot more than me because we only work half a day here.
Do you? But you get through, presumably, quite a number.
Few, yes.
You do the early part of the day.
Yes, that's right.
Just tell me something. I think, presumably you make money on selling the Standard, do you? Is there some kind? Do you get a penny a copy or anything like that? Or do you
that man will tell you down there.
You're a bit coy about that, yeah?
All right.
Might they tell me round the corner in Northcliffe House, which is where they produce this
Probably.
thing? Okay, well that's where we're going to head.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Well, there it is. I've got my Evening Standard, and actually, if you haven't already guessed it, that is what this show's all about today, because this newspaper, London's premier newspaper, is produced just round the corner from here in a place called Northcliffe House. So, Luke, we can just gallop along the high street for a while. That gent seemed particularly coy, particularly when I asked him how much money he made out of selling it. I don't know whether that means they make a great deal or very little. Let's just draw your attention to what's running on the front page today. There you are, nice and close. Chaos over lottery cash. That's their leading story in this edition, which I think we may discover when we get to Northcliffe House is about the third edition to hit the streets this morning. Let's chase this guy here, Luke. Excuse me, is that a copy of the Evening Standard you got there?
Yes.
Just Channel 1, On the Hoof, Paddy Haycox. We're actually just getting around to explore how this thing is put together. Do you buy it every day?
No, I've just been to the Tate, so I got it because of the Cezanne.
Well, listen, don't plug Cezanne. Tell me why you bought...
I do buy it occasionally, yeah.
Only occasionally?
Fridays usually for the magazine.
Yeah? You like the magazine?
Yeah.
Did you know the average age of readers of the Standard was 42? You come somewhat below that, don't you?
2 years away from 42.
Yeah. Oh, you're very, very well.
Thank you very much.
What is it that appeals to you about the paper?
I don't know, I really buy it for like the television and stuff.
Yeah?
I don't really, and the magazine on the weekends.
Well, do me a favour, check out the cable listings and check out Channel 1 in particular. Right?
Okay.
Take care. Okay, Luke, we'll carry on. Just to prove that people do buy the paper, excuse me, madam, I'm going to run right round the outside of you if you don't mind. Now, let me show you this, Luke. Over here, we'll just take a shot of it before we gallop across the road, is the magnificent Northcliffe House. I apologise for the facade at the moment. Look at that scaffolding. A little bit of refurbishment, a little bit of regeneration going on. But when you get inside, you'll realise, I feel like in Aladdin's cave. It's a kind of TARDIS, really. It is quite an exceptional building. Let's go over and see if we can blag our way in. Watch the traffic. Mind this large Jaguar. There's a traffic warden here. They're not meant to talk to us because of the Official Secrets Act. Let's see whether we can persuade him that... Hi! How are you, sir? Listen, just one question. Do you read the Evening Standard?
Yes.
Come on, you can turn to camera.
No.
You've got nothing to hide.
No.
How do you rate it as a newspaper?
I have it every night.
You have it every night. Well, I don't quite know how to interpret that, sir, but let's move into Northcliffe House so we can find out a bit more about the paper itself. Mind the steps, Luke. Actually, be very careful here. Through the hole in the glass doors. Don't trip over the mat. And if I just look around, I'm trying to find what's loosely described as a journalist. There's a guy here in shirt sleeves. Excuse me, sir. Are you a journalist?
I am indeed.
What do you work on?
The Evening Standard?
You work on the Standard. Well, listen, this is Channel 1 on the Hoof. I'm trying to find out today how this thing is put together. How you determine what goes. What do you do on the paper?
I'm the managing editor.
The managing editor?
Yes.
So you're quite an important guy.
Not really. I don't have anything to do with putting things in the paper. Other people do that.
You make sure that they do. I mean, would you let us have a look around?
Sure.
You've got a newsroom somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
How do we get to it?
Step this way.
I mean, just before we go, look, let's just draw the attention to Luke. If you can just clock this, come over with me a minute. Stay there, sir. I'll come back to you in a second. I've got to show you, this building obviously houses a number of titles. Evening Standard in the centre, the magazine, New Magazine, the Mail on Sunday up there, and over in this far corner, the Daily Mail, and something hidden behind these doors. It just says Associated Newspapers, in fact. So a number of titles come out of here, but we're concentrating on the Standard itself.
Okay.
What's your name? I didn't ask.
Craig.
Craig. It's, it doesn't look like a newspaper building, does it?
No, it's very spectacular. We've been lucky here. When we moved from Fleet Street, we moved to Kensington and everybody else moved to Docklands. So I guess we won the Star Prize.
Look, you know, I've not been here before myself. I can see marble walls. I can see, well, in a minute we'll see what we're going up into. It looks like a certain amount of greenery up there. It's very light in this central area. It's more like a five-star hotel, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely. It's a great environment to work.
But it's not what people would expect of a newsroom. They remember the old hot metal days, the scribbling pads, the typewriters. None of that anymore?
Newsroom these days, it's the same as an insurance office. Computer screens everywhere. Quiet, no clattering typewriters, no crashing machines.
It's important to have a good working environment, is it?
It is. I think it makes a huge difference, and most people like working here.
Let's just take stock for a moment, because I mean it is very, very impressive. We've got to have a look around before we. Are we going into a lift next? We're going up more stairs.
We're going the bubble lift.
The bubble lift. Yeah. Where's that? Is that? Oh, this is this thing here. Because at the moment it's in the least attract. Oh, it's on its way down. Yeah, Luke's just getting that. Where does that run to? It runs to.
Right, it goes from here to the 6th. This is effectively the first floor.
And what happens on the 6th floor?
That's management floor. Top people.
Important people. People like what? The editor himself?
No, the various editors. The Evening Standard's on the 2nd floor, the Mail on the 3rd, Mail on Sunday on the 4th, and the management offices are on the 5th, on the 6th.
I mean, it is very swish, I have to say. We're going to move on because we never stand still for long on this programme. But I don't know whether, Luke, you can clock the fountains over there, and that little pimple head bust at the top, that is in fact the good Lord Northcliffe himself, I believe. That's right. Press Baron Osmond. Can we jump in this one?
Surely, yeah.
Smashing. Excuse us, will you? We'll just dive over to the back here.
Can you press 2 for me, please? Thanks.
So how long have you been in this building?
We've been here since Christmas '88.
So what's that, 8 years?
The Standard moved first, and the...
let me pull you back round here, Craig, and stick you back against it so we can have a look at your face.
The Standard moved first, and the Mail moved about 6 months later, and then the Mail on Sunday shortly after that.
And there've been quite a lot of change. This is the second.
Yes, this is
over there in no time at all. There've been quite a lot of changes on the paper lately, I gather.
Well, we've got a new editor on the 1st of January.
I know, this is good. Max Hastings?
Always leads to changes. The new editor arrives, therefore he wants his own people. So he's got to change them.
Yeah, so you've had to lose a few people. I'll let you lead in first.
Yes, a few, and some replacements.
Let's just take stock here, because it's very nice coming into a new room, just to give a flavour of it. Luke, if you can just do a little gentle pan around for us. This is what?
This is the newsroom.
The main newsroom area. For people who've never been in a newsroom before, people are sitting in themed areas.
That's right. These are sub-editors.
Sub-editors, yep.
The news desk is over there. Reporters here behind us.
Yep. And over in the far corner?
Features department over there. Round the corner, which you can't see, is the diary. And in the far corner of technical people, colour, studio, layout operations.
Right. Are you happy for me just to have a wander? Because that's the kind of way we like it. I know you're a busy man. It's very good of you to let us in. Okay. I'll leave you for the moment.
My pleasure.
And we'll head down to the news desk, because Craig just said the news desk is down here, and that's always the hub of activity. If I'm very lucky, I might actually find a news editor. Excuse me, sir.
Oh, hi.
He's Padiegos. Hi. Channel 1's on the Hoof. We've just blagged our way into the building, courtesy of your managing editor, Carl. Is it Carl Orr? Craig Orr, beg your pardon. Craig Orr has just let us in. Now, what role do you play on the newspaper?
What role do I? I'm the news editor.
You're the news editor.
So my job with my colleagues' help here is to provide all the news for the paper, home, foreign, whatever. We don't decide what goes in.
You don't?
That's the responsibility of the gentleman over there.
Okay, so you just collate the various themed aspects of the news, do you?
No, we collate and we report it, we write it.
Okay.
We either send staff out or specialists out, or they come to us, or we use freelancers, agencies, whatever.
Right, now how's today running, and what decisions have you come to thus far?
Today is running quite well, but it's sort of lull before the storm.
Why?
Because we have the Scott report this afternoon.
Of course. All right, what have you done for the lull? How have you filled your early editions? I know I bought one on the street just now. We've got Chaos Over Lottery Cash. Where did that story really take?
That actually is a very good story, and that comes from Joanne Hart, who works in our city office. And it's an extraordinary situation.
Yeah.
We all think that millions of pounds have been given away, which in principle they have been, but the cash has not actually been delivered.
But that story is going to be replaced as the day progresses, because you're constantly updating the paper throughout the day.
Absolutely.
5 editions you produce?
5 editions.
Between, 8:30 and 5:30?
The first one closes at 7 a.m, the last one usually at 4:10, except today we're going to do 6 editions.
And what's your busiest period of the day?
It really depends what happens during the day. I mean, a normal day, the morning is obviously rather quicker, because we have to decide what we're going to do for the rest of the day. We have to talk to each other, we have a conference, we do all sorts of things. So by and large, but then of course you don't know what's going to happen in the day.
That's the nature of news. Listen, we're going to move on. You carry on. We'll check out the later editions. Thanks for talking to me for the moment. Luke, if we can just move down here, because I always like to look at clocks. Not that I'm a clock watcher, but look at these. This gives you some flavour of the kind of international nature of the paper, really. I mean, although it is a London paper, it's a paper that claims to be influential rather than national. We've got time, interestingly enough, New York and Tokyo are up there. I know one of the claims of the Evening Standard is that it can give you Tokyo's closing prices in its first edition and give you New York's opening prices in its last edition. Excuse me, sir, what are you doing?
I'm just checking on the foreign news to see if there's anything there we should be aware of.
And is there anything?
Well, the last was Yeltsin to stand for re-election. But,
And if you decide that's a runner, what do you do with it? Do you write it up?
send it over to the subs, who then shape it and decide which place in the newspaper it should go.
Right, thank you very much. We'll move on. Let's move through here, Luke. So he's deciding on foreign news. Look at that. What I love about journalists is they've gone all modern, we've left the hot metal behind, but they're still massively politically incorrect. Interesting. Let's go through here. Oh, look at this, We've got to have a look at these. I don't know what this has got to do with journalism. This, if I'm not... Are these yours? Come here, let me have a word with you. Come round to this monitor, stick one in your hand. Now, come on, what are they? What are they doing?
They're beautiful, they're objet d'art.
Yeah, well, some people would call them
This
that.
is the tax centre.
Some people would call them kitsch, and they're deliberately kitsch, aren't
Absolutely.
they? Yeah, where'd you get them from?
Everybody brings me them. Everyone in the Standard just buys one wherever they go.
What, on
Brings them
domestic
for me.
assignments or international assignments?
Holidays usually.
Right, when you're
and,
not...
and actually I've got one from Bosnia.
Have you? Chase the Bosnian snowstorm.
That came from Bosnia.
Just shake it for us. Hold it close to the lens. There you are. You've seen it here on Channel 1 first, the Bosnian snowstorm. What's your job when you're not collecting snowstorms?
Production. Editorial production.
Editorial production. You carry on. We're moving around. Channel 1's on the hoof. Thanks for talking to us. Now, let's have a look over here. Now, if I'm not very much mistaken, this looks to me like a layout, Luke. Can you just get a shot of that front page? This possibly is one of the later editions today. It's substantially different from the page I've got in front of me. So, chaos over lottery cash seems to have been replaced by its reform, not sackings. And indeed, I don't know if you can see this right down in the bottom right-hand side of this front page, IRA hints at more terror. There's a lady here on the telephone. While she's on the phone, I'm going to move along. Let's go along. You just hung... Hello, what's your name?
I'm Victoria Summerley.
Victoria, what are you doing here?
I'm production editor.
What does that mean?
Basically, it's running news pages. We on this desk we lay out the pages, we choose the pictures, decide which story is going to go where, decide which story is going to be the front page story.
Now, is this the story that's shaping up for the later editions today?
This is the latest edition of the Standard today. Yes, this is with the latest in the Scott Report saga.
So that's going to come off the presses later this afternoon.
That will
Look at this. I notice
on
here.
the
Luke,
screens.
can we just show that a second? Because that's what I love to see. We've gone all computerised. We've gone all technological. But look, here is a hand-drafted layout. Sketched pencil layout. You still do those, do you?
We still do them, yeah.
What's the value of that?
Well, if you want to show somebody very quickly what a page looks like, it takes a while for these to scroll up, and if you've only got a blank page, you haven't moved the stuff in, you can draw this very quickly. Some of us understand what that means.
How many new layouts might you do in a day?
Oh God, dozens.
Dozens, but
Dozens.
only 5 are used, presumably, on the 5 editions. Is that right?
Well, for page 1.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
but there are many pages going with
Yeah,
each
of
edition.
course.
So you might do, and you don't always do one page once. If something changes in the middle of edition, you scrap what you've done and start again.
Gotcha. Well, look, I know it's a busy time for you. We'll move on. Thanks for talking to us for
Thanks
the
a lot.
moment. Let's, Luke, just come down here. I thought I'd seen on a monitor over there a little flash of something that was very personalised to Channel 1. And we're going to move out of this news area now because the critical thing is, as you can see, this is largely computer-driven. The human beings, of course, have to drive the computers. It goes without saying. But at the end of the process, it all has to be put onto newspapers like this, churned out, bundled up, and got out onto the streets. Now, since we're... look, we've got to look at these. This is obviously Northcliffe House's answer to a bit of massage and karma. A few, what are they, koi carp? They're very, very expensive-looking fish. I suppose if you get very stressed out as a journalist, you come out here and get your head together, think things through. Let's just, before we dash out of here, take a look up here. I don't know whether you're up to a little run. This looks like the top deck of Northcliffe House, what I call the sort of captain's poop deck, really. Luke, take a seat here for me for a minute. It's certainly a very warm building. It's considerably warmer than Kensington High Street was outside. But one thing you will notice, as I say, it's chrome, it's marble, it's plush, it's five-star hotel style. It's substantially different from the nuts and bolts, the nitty-gritty, the engine room, if you like, the presses that produce these newspapers. We're going to head over there next. And if you don't believe how different they are from this environment, join me in a couple of minutes' time. Welcome back. Well, I've left, as I promised, the comparative comfort of High Street Kensington, or in fact just off High Street Ken, Northcliffe House, and we've come here, as promised, to the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts, the engine room, if you like, where the papers are actually produced, printed, bundled up and put out on the street. I've been joined by Graham Dodds. Graham, what's your official title?
My official title is production executive of this HQ.
So you try, along with a number of robots who we might bump into,
yes.
You try and run this place.
I'm in very competitive robots, I might add, but yes, I do.
Listen, I know the press is going to roll shortly. Let's get on the move. Luke, do you want to come round and swing around in front of us for a sec? As we pass by, Luke might be able to pick up, I'm sure you can see him in the background, these giant rolls of paper. How many Evening Standards do you get out of one of those?
We get about 30,000 Evening Standards out of one of these rolls, and it would take 5 of them to make up
the paper I've got here that I bought on the street today.
Exactly.
How many do you print in one run?
Well, in one run we'll probably print somewhere in the region of 150,000 per edition.
Really? And you're doing that, 5 times a day? 5 editions. That's a fair old...
not all that number.
Look, before we go through, let me just point this out to you. In fact, let's go over here, Graham. As you can see, it's a bit like the streets of New York. Here's a ground level version. These are also coming out of the ceiling from various points. What are they doing?
They're simply humidifiers. This place is very large and the reels absorb loads of moisture. So we have to pump into the atmosphere loads of water to make up for the moisture the reels take out.
It's like being in a tropical greenhouse.
Lovely.
It really is, isn't it? The only other place I've been that's like this, Graham, is Kew Gardens, I think.
And that's the only other place you'll find the sort of humidifiers we've got.
Yeah.
Definitely not in another newspaper. Kew Gardens is the only place you'll find them.
Right, now we're moving through here and we're going to go up a couple of floors. If you can stay with us, Luke and Nigel. I know it's a bit difficult getting our team through here, but Graham, tell us what happens on this first floor that we're approaching now.
Well, we've just seen where the reels live and now fed up into the press. And here's where the actual printing's done.
Right.
Now, once we've retrieved the negatives from editorial, you saw them being made up, we turn them into plates, photopolymer plates. That's a relief plate, much like your potato kit when you were at school. We ink that up, clip it onto the press, that presses into the paper,
right,
and we've got a printed copy.
Now, the reason I stood here and had that conversation is because it's slightly noisy through there, but let's go and see if we can actually identify some of those plates on the rollers. Graham, just take us through. There's one here, look. Can we have a look at one of these? That's one of the plates.
That's an old plate from the last edition.
Right.
That's been taken off. You can feel it's rough.
I don't know if you can see that, Luke. It's actually quite difficult getting any sound here at all, but raised relief, a bit like the potato cup that Graham described there. These are inked up, printed onto those huge paper rolls. Okay, let's try and head to slightly quieter. Can we move upstairs? Go around. Are you with me? Okay, we're moving up here now. And the presses are actually rolling now. Yes. Well, look at that. I just let you have a look. It's quite spectacular, Luke. I don't know if you can just sneak a little view in there. There are the presses rolling. I might actually take advantage here of a lip mic. I'm going to keep going upstairs, but at least as I talk to you through this lip mic, you might hear me rather better. As you can see, these giant rolls of paper feeding the uncut versions of, I think this is about the 4th edition of the Evening Standard today. Let's go along to the top here and take a look at this. Graham, just come this way a minute. I'm going to have to translate, but we can't miss a shot like this, Luke. That's a fantastic view of the presses in action. This is part of, I think, as I say, the 4th print run this afternoon. And I don't know, Luke, whether you can see over here what looks like a roller coaster. Let me just help Jonathan there. There are the newspapers coming down, neatly folded in little holders and all shooting off towards the dispatch area. Let's go up to the top deck now. Graham, take us up to the top. And we'll move beyond this deck, still rolling off the presses, to the very top area, where I think I might be able to talk to you, Graham, normally again.
This is where your nose starts to bleed up here.
I tell you, this humidity is extraordinary. Let me hand this mic back to Nigel a moment. Now, Nigel, I don't know if you can get a reasonable sound feed from us both. I feel like Sophie Tucker doing one of those jazz routines. How do you stay so cool up here?
Now you know why we don't wear coats at work.
Now this is where you come up and take an overview. Luke, come and have a look. Come and have a look round here. Look at this nice top shot of the presses in action. How long will the presses run for, Graham?
On this, they ran for about 45 minutes on this edition.
45 minutes?
45 minutes.
That's a significant run, isn't it?
Oh yes, it's a large run. This is the sort of main news run of the day. This is when, during the day, all the news events have happened. It's all in our paper. We can capture all this because everything happens in the day, very little happens at night.
Well, look, what I'm intrigued by now is to find out where all this is going. It's all going down to dispatch. I'm going to head down there at the moment. Thank you very much for showing me around. I'm going to go off under my own steam for a while. Thank you for that. Take care, Graham. Let me leave Graham for a minute. Now we've got actually quite a long journey. I'll let the boys through. I'll try to only talk where you can hear me. It is a bit like the engine room of a ship, and these are a little bit like stairwells on a car ferry. I'll open another door there. It really is very, very warm in here. I think this is probably the last gate down to the ground floor. Now what I need to do is to find the dispatch area now. I'll just take Graham's advice on this. I think it's through here. Am I heading this way, Graham? No, let me just check with Graham. Graham, just tell me when I get to dispatch from here. Through the door in. Well, I'll tell you what, we can come over here for a moment. Just, excuse me, sir. Can you hear me? Yeah. You can. What's your name?
Bert.
Bert?
Yeah.
What's your job title down here, Bert?
Operator.
Operator, what are you doing?
Operator.
Are you taking these papers off the press into the bins?
Yeah, I was just clearing it so it doesn't jam up.
Right, let's just take a look at them coming through there, Luke. There's a nice close shot. And I'll move on towards dispatch. I'm going to pick up Graham once again. Graham, where do I get to the dispatch area?
This way here. Through the door and down the stairs.
Thank you very much. So Graham said through the door and down the stairs. That's where I'm heading. I can just drop my voice level a bit now. It's got slightly quieter. Are you all right, Luke? You're doing a grand job there. Nigel's still behind, umbilically linked, because this is the nature of this beast. Some people would say what we do is complete lunacy, but I wonder if I can step over here, and I think just taking advice now on where the dispatch area is. It's up here, past these giant rolls. I did mention that something like 1.1 million people read the Evening Standard. That's, they reckon 2.6 read each copy, so that's 500,000 or so on a production run. But 2.6 people, I reckon I'm the 0.6s. I certainly read it every day on the train on my way home. And now we're looking for this door here. I think this will take us through to, let's just try this. Of course, on these instant hits, yup, through this one down the little corridor. This is getting significantly quieter. This must be the dispatch area. Let's get up here and take a look at this first of all. Perhaps I can bring you down to the first deck. Luke, you might like to just take a general look around. This is certainly dispatch. You can see one or two gents down there wrapping up the quires of newspapers. They've been folded, they've been cut, they've been packaged. They're going to be strung up, they're going to be put into boxes, and eventually they'll go out onto the streets. Let's go down and see if we can buttonhole one of these gents. They're not expecting us. I think we've got a minute or two remaining. Let's just try one gent here, because this is what we do. Hello, sir, what's your name?
Billy. All right.
Right, what are you doing here?
Show you.
You're looking after, how many newspapers are in one of these bundles?
75 copies.
75 copies. Well, there you go. That's the information we needed to know. 75 copies in each bundle. Let's go here. And I'm just going to lead you in the final seconds of this programme, if I can, very quickly to the dispatch area. I'm zooming through. Through there's an Evening Standard van waiting to be loaded.